Hey guys, I'm the Cyborg Sheep, and welcome to the Weekend Post. In this episode, we're going to be tearing down this desktop computer right here. As you can see, it has a fairly standard design of the motherboard on the bottom, the CPU in the center, and the power supply up top. There's also a lot of add-ons to this computer. That graphics card right there, for example, has 3 outputs: VGA, DVI, and S-Video. It also has 3 Firewire ports, which are fairly old school, and in addition to that, it has a floppy disk drive and an SD card reader, as well as a bunch of other video camera storage readers. Now, like I said, this computer has a fairly standard design. It is called the ATX standard, and it basically means that if you get a part to go on this computer, if it's denoted with ATX, then it will fit inside this computer. I must also say that this thing was very, very dusty, so I'll get out a shop vac and start cleaning it up. Here you can see me taking some modules out of the front. Here we have the CD drive module, and here we have the floppy disk drive module and the SD card module. Here you can see the main CPU. It is an Intel Core Duo, and it runs at 1.86 GHz. And here you can see the failure point of most electronic technology. You see how puffed those capacitors are? Eventually, they'll burn out. Here you can see me unscrewing the power supply. It is a Dell-branded ATX power supply with a combined maximum output of 375 watts. Now, with this kind of power supply, it's not so much about the maximum voltage, but more about the maximum current, because a computer can draw lots of current. Here you can see me taking out the RAM modules. These are 2 GB each, and with 4 cards on the computer, that gives you a maximum memory of 8 GB. Here, once again, you can see the main CPU. That adhesive on the top is actually a special heat transfer compound. When you stick a heatsink on the top of decent size, the heat transfer compound will actually transfer the heat from the CPU to the heatsink. When we look at the bottom, we can actually see all the contacts of the CPU. You can't see it on video, but these are actually hundreds of gold-plated pads that will make contact with pins inside the motherboard and will transfer signal data from the CPU to the rest of the motherboard.
Well, I must say, this is one heck of a salvage. So let's just go really quick, go over a couple of things and just talk about them. So, first of all, this, I'm not sure, but I think what it is, if I look on the thing, or the sticker here, it is a, doesn't say. I think what this is, though, is possibly a floppy disk drive, which, I'll take it apart. I think, you see that back there? That might be a stepper motor. So I'll take that apart and take a look at that. This right here, this is a SD card reader. So what this will do is basically you have an SD card and you can stick it into here, and it supports all sorts of video storage devices. For example, there's a type of card. It's sort of like the thickness of this bottom slot here, and it was a very old school I guess standard, and we don't really use it anymore, but it's definitely it was definitely a useful standard. Here we have two DVD drives, both of which will have brushless motors in them, which thankfully, hopefully, the motors out of them, we should be able to get the tops off of them, and we'll be able to wire the motors, unlike that crap DVD motor out of the laptop. Now, the power supply, way useful. I don't know if I can see here, right there, on the tag you can't see, but it says one of the outputs is 3 volts at 17 amps, which is pretty much my biggest supply of 3 volts that I've had so far. That'll definitely be see some use. Now, the graphics card. I might consider keeping this because the computer that I'm going to get, it will have spare PCI Express ports. That's what this connector is right here. And I might consider seeing if I can't get this to work along with the other graphics card that I got in there. And maybe even I'll, for the time being, I might consider, well, I don't know. Now, this right here, this is a Firewire card. Now, most of you are not familiar with this standard. I know. I'll get into it after this clip. However, it's pretty much obsolete now. But at one time, it was actually better than USB, which basically made it a go-to standard. So, yeah. So, the RAM modules. These I'm definitely going to sell because maybe at least 10 bucks for each of these. Yeah. The motherboard. I'm not sure how useful it is. It might be another thing that I sell because this has gold connectors on here, and for example, all those tiny little pins are gold. So this would definitely have a scrap metal value. Now, the CPU fans, definitely useful for cooling voltage regulators or power supplies that you custom build. I'll definitely be using those. Now, the case. I had a cool idea for the case, actually. Now, you see it says Dell on there, and that's definitely kind of awkward. So, for example, like, if I ever built anything in this, what I want to do is cut a square with the Dell logo on it out, and then what I can do is get a material the same that's the same type as this, and I can weld it in here, and then I could even write custom things on it. Additionally, I'll just take this out here, and then I got a custom PC case. So yeah. Now, the cables, these connectors are mostly have a very specific use. So in this case, I'm not going to be using them, but yeah. So that's basically all I salvaged. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe maybe, and I'll see you dudes in the next episode. Alright, before we end off the video, I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about this. This is a vintage camera that someone gave me. It is a Fujica 8T3. This was a video camera, and it was manufactured in the 1960s. Now, I want to thank the person that gave me this so much. This is a massive representation of my love for video making and electronics, and this is definitely a great combination of both. So I'm going to keep this as a monument of me, and yeah, I hope you dudes enjoyed the video.